Childhood was awful, but I always knew that I needed to do something different, that God had put me here and I was supposed to do something different even as a young child. I also think people are so focused on things like likes and views over impact.
Welcome, my amazing people, to another episode of I Got an Accent, so what? But today, you guys gonna recognize somebody, Ted Bogert.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Now, Ted.
Yes.
A serious question.
Yes.
Do you have an accent?
I do not. I mean, I can get one if you need me to. I can talk like this from New Jersey or New York.
I'm messing with you. Here's our governor of the Citrus Club. Oh my God, they're gonna kill us.
Woo.
Ted Bogert, businessman, mortgage for a long time.
Yes.
You do real estate, but one of the biggest networker person that we know here in Central Florida.
Thank you.
We used to think that you were like, what type of celebrity? What does he does? I
Only
mean,
in my own mind, Tia. Only in
no,
my own mind.
To everybody, he's a freaking celebrity. Ted, thank you for coming.
I'm so honored to be here. When you asked, I was like, "Oh my God, yes, I'd love to do your show.
The
I love your show.
honor is
I love the concept. I love what you guys put out in the world. It's a beautiful thing."
Thank you. No, big fan of you. We've known each other for quite some time.
Long time.
But we can't because we're gonna age ourselves. But this individual is one of those person that you're so welcoming to everybody. Love is your language for sure. I have never seen you mad. Maybe more like your family might see in that part, but he's always giving love. The most welcoming individual that you can understand. And that's how you were when we first met.
Yes.
So me and Jeremy were in the Citrus Club, which for those of you that are not from town, the Citrus Club is a members only club for business and all that in one of the rooftop in here in Orlando. Beautiful Orlando.
Beautiful Orlando.
Yes. And Ted, every time we'll go there, he have his own table. People will come in, sit down, have breakfast, lunch, dinner with him. And me and Jeremy will always like, who is this individual? We need to know who he is. And I remember a friend of ours, is like, you don't know who Ted is? I'm like, no. And then I understood
so
why.
good for the ego.
No. Then we understood why. This dude, I mean, the amount of not only people that love you, but that wants to sit with you and talk and chat and do business, it's something that I never knew that it could intertwine.
Thank you.
And you make that amazing.
Well, thank you. Gosh. All right. This has been a great show, you all. Thank you so much for coming. No, I appreciate that very much. It's a blessing to do what I get to do all the time. And so I'm a genuinely happy, joyful human being. Don't think that I don't have my moments, because we all do, but I'm genuinely happy.
I know.
I love people. I love what you said. Love is my language.
Yes.
And that's right. I love people. I love to hug on people, pour into people, learn about people. And it feeds me.
Yes. Woo, I like that word.
Thank you.
And I think your second language is it's wine.
Oh,
Cheers.
Cheers to the wine.
The only individual drinks like more than several bottles
Allegedly,
a day.
folks. Allegedly.
And always be like this. Like, I'm like, how many do you had? And
you'd never know.
you never know. Cheers.
Cheers, love. Yeah, I love wine. I love people. I love the community. And you all do too. And that's why I think we connected.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like,
Yeah.
and it's been, 10 years or more.
Yes, 10 years.
You were much younger. Our
Mhm.
producers weren't even born.
No.
Our people over there, they're great people. But I feel like we connected immediately. And I think that's because you all had a different kind of a vision.
Mhm.
And you were out doing your own thing in your own way. And I have a great deal of respect for that.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Thank you. And to me, it's not only super special, but we were talking about it off camera. You're always interviewing people, so now it's my turn.
It's so weird to be on this side of it. I want to control the interview, which is what I'm used to doing, and I have to keep reminding myself, shh.
So I'm going to control you for a little bit.
Okay, you control me. Let's do it.
But everything is going to be nice.
Okay, that's fine.
And I seen your success, jokes aside, a very inspiring individual. It's kind of like you're kind of the Wikipedia of business. Like everything, he knows how to connect people, and you're a big connector in the industry that some people's like, what does Ted does? He does mortgage, guys. He does mortgage. He does mortgage. But besides being a connector and your success, the TED Show, by the way, everybody watches the TED Show.
They do watch it. It's crazy, right?
We do.
It's a blessing.
We do. And you're a great interviewer. You're a great, storytelling people's story. And it's something that people want to know. But today I want to know about you and how was it for Ted growing up?
Oh, Ted growing up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to go there. All right. I'm willing to go there. It was terrible. It was awful. You weren't expecting that.
No.
I talk about it because I do a lot of work with Harbor House. I'm a childhood domestic violence survivor.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a child abuse survivor, and I do a lot of work with Harbor House because in my day and age, you didn't have those kinds of shelters to get away from people who did horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good. I'm not a victim. I'm definitely a survivor.
You're Victor.
But yes, I'm a victor. Exactly. But childhood was awful, but I always knew that I needed to do something different, that God had put me here and I was supposed to do something different even as a young child. Wow. So even in all the crazy mess and chaos and abuse and god-awful stuff, I knew that I would come out.
Wow.
You weren't expecting that.
No, that was a curveball, y'all. Now I understand.
Y'all always answer your truth.
Now I know why your love language is love.
It's true. And I was blessed at an early age. You know, a lot of abuse victims and survivors, they can go either way. They can overcompensate and they spend their lives doing the exact opposite of their parents, which is what I did. Mm-hmm. Or you get caught up in it and you get in a cycle and you continue that horrible cycle. And so I just knew early on that I was not going to be that person. Everything that my parents did, I wanted to do the opposite of. Wow. And so I did.
What age did you know that there was something for you?
Early. I remember feeling different and special even at 5. I just knew that what the situation that I was in, even at that age, was not going to define me. Of course, I couldn't enunciate it that way or express it that way. But I knew that this was not going to be my life once I was able to choose how my life would be.
Wow. So you were you were in your teens or younger?
Oh, I was 5. I remember being 5 and absolutely knowing, 100% knowing. Again, 5-year-old brain knowing, but I knew I was different and I knew that I would not be in that situation.
Wow, Ted, you really threw something off me. Now my whole entire perspective changed because, many know that, my story and all that, how I came from Cuba and all that. Now I understand the perspective of maturing early.
Yes,
very
much.
So do you felt that your childhood was taking away that in a way that you have to mature earlier? Like, what was that like? Ted, you're going to make it through, but you knew some people call it, there was something.
Yeah, I felt very blessed. I didn't know my connection, but I felt very much like somebody was watching out for me at a very early age. Obviously, I still had to did suffer through the things that I suffered through, but I knew that I would be different. I just didn't know how that would manifest itself. And so I knew even early on, I learned how to survive in that situation. Yes. And I think you take those survival skills with you as an adult. And it's why I believe it's one of the reasons why I am the way I am. I'm engaging. And I don't mean that in an ego way. I mean that like I love people, I love on people, and I pour into people. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I didn't have it. And so I'm always going to give it. Wow. So
that's powerful.
Thank you.
That definitely, you said it, something very clever in that sentence, 2 sentences before that. You said, I was not going to be part of the system. You made a choice.
That's correct.
Even at a young age. And that little angel that was covering for you for something bigger. So then now I'm not going to age you. Now that I'm here next to you, folks. I can tell you everything that I feel when I'm in your presence, when I'm with you. And that is something powerful to have somebody. And ignite those feelings into somebody else. And that is beautiful.
Thank you.
How your past brought you to your present.
Absolutely. And I, absolutely.
Guys, you
didn't
have
know,
idea.
did you?
No, it was like if he took a rug under me, I'm like, oh crap, everything switched. But it is a very important topic.
Agreed.
And
which is why I'm good to talk about it. I talk about it a lot, and because I feel like there are plenty of me's at that age that don't have that outlet. That's why I do a lot with Harbor House, because those kids don't. They're not. Some of them don't have that opportunity, and so they're looking for something to get out. They don't want to be in that situation.
Absolutely.
So I think I was just, again, incredibly blessed at an early age to know in my heart and my soul that I was not going to live like this forever.
Wow. And kids and adults, there's some adults that still deal with situations that.
So many sad, abused children that walk around as adults that never took care of that child.
Wow, I'm about to cry up in here.
Well, if you cry, I cry. That's the rule. So
let's switch this. Definitely, Ted. Now everything makes so much sense to me. It comes from that, and it's talking about how to turn something not so beautiful into a beautiful present.
Yes. And
all I know, and I can tell you that even your future, it's even brighter in the sense of that genuine that you want to give to people. Now I understand why when we sit together, you were actually listening to me. And I feel that not only with me, it's with everybody. I watch almost every interview of you because it's very fascinating to know about people. We don't have the time to know everybody, especially here in our community. So when you bring people in your show that is such a stable show and has such a, people knows the TED show, you're like, he's bringing somebody because it's some information, it's some storytelling, it's something that I need to hear. So obviously you are that lighthouse to so many. So thank you for sharing that with me and my amazing fans. It's truly an honor.
Thank you very much.
Going to the TED show.
Okay, the TED show.
How did the TED show start?
It's a great story. So a friend of mine, Evan Clausen, he used to be here in Orlando, and now he's this big Grammy performing artist somewhere international. We were talking about doing something. He goes, I was complaining a little bit. And I said, people think that I am super wealthy and I sit up at the Citrus Club and all I do all day long is drink.
Yes.
And they're not wrong about the all day long part and the alleged drinking, but I do so much more. And so he's like, well, your whole life is a show, Ted. And I said, you're right. And he goes, that's what we should call it. You should do a podcast and you should call it The TED Show. And I give him credit every time.
Wow.
Right then and there, I booked the URL website. But the show itself didn't come into fruition until about 2 years later when Facebook Live became super popular.
Yes.
And I just dove in. I said, well, we're going to do a live show 5 days a week. I've got all these cool friends. I serve on all these boards. I know all these people. Why don't we come in and have a story? And that's how it was born. And originally it was born so that people could see that I do more than just sit and cocktail all day long. But it just became this passion project. And I knew that it was something I was supposed to do the minute I did it. The minute that first time that camera came on, I knew. So it has evolved. I've had so many amazing human beings on there, 1,500 plus episodes. We have just people from all walks of life sharing their stories. Yesterday, it hasn't aired yet, but yesterday I filmed one. I do a show for veterans called Heroes Always Welcome. And the veteran, who you probably would know, I won't say his name yet, I asked him who his hero was, and he started to cry. So, you get to touch those people and hear it. And when they get to speak their truth and who they are and their passion out loud, it's a very powerful thing. So it feeds into me. It's very cathartic for me on a regular basis as well, being able to hear people's stories and listen to them and feel their hearts and their souls pour out, which does good for the people who listen and watch. And that's really the whole point of it, is I want to impact the world. I want people to feel better about who they are, and I want them to see that there are ways out. I want them to see that they can achieve their dreams. And so the more stories that we share, the more opportunity I feel like we give them.
Absolutely. The more people we touch, the more we can expand the vision and the love. That word that you said, producers, me, for I got an accent, so what? What is it?
Cathartic.
Cathartic.
Cathartic. So that is healing. So it makes things better. So cathartic.
Cathartic. I'm gonna be adding that to my show.
It's a
They're gonna
beautiful
be Gia is improving
word.
her language.
Cathartic.
Cathartic.
Yes.
Like
So, therapeutic. Like, so if you do like if you help somebody out, if you're a hurting person or a hurting child, like I grew up, when you help someone out, it helps you heal. So when you're doing good things and it helps a part of you heal, or that's cathartic.
Wow. Can you say that's your healing moment?
It's definitely one of the healing moments. I've had a lot of them. God has been super good to me. I'm a man of faith, and I feel like there's been a lot of healing opportunities. I truly believe He put everyone in my life in my path when I needed it most, and so some of them for a season. You know, that's the old Hallmark card. Some people are here for a season. Some people, okay, I believe that, but I feel like people come in and they either stay a long time, but they always serve some sort of big purpose for me. And so I'm very touched by all the people that come into my life.
Very fascinating. It's funny because I was sitting with my producers before, and it's like, Gia, what you wanted, in the interview with Ted. I'm like, well, everybody knows who Ted is, but I told them, I know there's something deeper and I want to know. No, I don't know back. We know the success. And it's funny that you said everybody think I'm rich.
They do. They think I'm a
people
Rockefeller.
used to think the same thing, and that's why I'm in this podcast, because they used to think that we inherit a lot of money, and that's how G World started. And that's when you see that, which is very, and you can agree, and on that aspect, it makes you feel good because we're human. Like, oh wow, but at the same time, there's a duty in you that you're like, I have to show people that I'm also human, that I bleed, that there's been suffering moment in our life,
Very
and that's when
so.
we can turn on those lights and be ourselves.
You have to be human. And I think that what we, in this day and age with social media and everything, there's so many people crafting and creating a persona, and they spend so much time doing that, and they don't spend enough time being real and authentic and vulnerable and transparent. And I think they miss out. And I feel like the more that you feel comfortable, the bigger your message will be, and the more successful you'll be, and the more love that you'll get out of the world and give to the world. I just do. I feel like there are people who are so insecure about social media, and so they post these things. Like, I love your social media. You're just out there. And it doesn't matter to me. I can see it. You're happy. You're putting out stuff. That's you. That's who you are. But I love being able to just, like, you ask the question, I'm going to answer it. And I think a lot of people fear that. Yeah. And I just embrace it.
Wow. Guys, embrace yourself. Regardless where we're standing and where we are, that I think that's the most beautiful process for human, and the most that we denied or we don't want to go through it because we fear what you said, insecure.
Very much so. And I get it. It's not, when I say that, I don't want people to feel bad. I want people to feel empowered. We've all felt it. There's a certain trepidation, a certain fear when you're going to open up your heart and soul and reveal something about yourself that you think other people might view as a weakness.
Yes.
And I just want to encourage you that just gives you a ton of strength once you do it. It's amazing. And then you realize that those people who think of it as a weakness will eventually fall away and mean nothing. The people who embrace it and love on you for it and pour into you and applaud you for sharing it, those are the people you want around.
Absolutely. You've been around. And
I've been around.
You've seen many shifts, many changes in the industry. I'm sure, as such a public person that you are, and I can say that now, you've had many people around. How do you do not to lose yourself and your authentic person, but at the same time, not everybody's the same?
Agreed. So I've struggled with it. I used to be a believer that everybody is good for me until they prove me otherwise. 2023, I've decided to really take a look at the people that I do business with and surround myself with. I have my words for this year are prosper and ask, and I have been asking and being very purposeful and intentional with what I do. And the people who I ask and talk to that push me away, I allow that now instead of trying to rope them back in. And what it's done is it's freed me up. The thing that I would encourage anybody is that if you're holding on to things, you are blocking the amazing positive things that are supposed to be coming in. And so if you continue to hold on to things that are negative or that are not doing you good for your body, soul, business, personal, whatever it is, then you are blocking out all the blessings. And I know that's kind of old school and that's a big cliche, but it's true. So what I found this year is the more that I let go of the people that I know in my heart need to be let go, the more amazing things that come into my life. And even at my old age, I have just been in awe of what has been put into my life just in 2023.
I needed to hear that personally.
Good.
I did it. I needed to hear that because it's something that every day and every year, I think every quarter, I ask my same question. You still don't learn, Gea. You still don't learn because when we started, you said, I'm an open book. And I used to say that, and I still say I'm an open book. Unfortunately, people take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
Open book, which I have no shame. I think that even the people that come into our life, whether it's to add, to take, or even to try to hurt, it's needed.
Right.
And a question that I used to ask God, why I'm like that?
Right.
Why can I be selfish or why can I be? But it's because he created us like that. And what you just said, you know, deep inside we know that those individuals are not meant. They're there. But if we don't take them out, they voluntarily won't leave.
That's they will pull up a chair to the feast and
Popcorn.
feast on you and your soul and your energy until you finally are depleted. And I just found over the years that I allowed way too many people to deplete me. Because I do love to pour into people. And it was a hard thing to do because I just want to love on people. It's just my nature. But I'm not doing anyone any good, including myself, my family, my business partners, or the people who really need the love. I'm not doing them any good by continuing to love on people who don't love back.
Reciprocal.
No reciprocal.
Reciprocity.
So we're fading those people on out. So if you're one of those people, sorry, not sorry, but I just know it's the best thing for me, and I've just noticed the change and felt the change so much this year already.
Absolutely, I'm in the same chapter.
Good for you.
Now I feel like I'm not the only one in this world, but it's a beautiful growth because then those people. It's not that those people are changing. You are changing. We need to change.
We do.
Our nature is our nature, but that doesn't mean that our nature can be modified to survive. In the jungle, every animal have to adapt.
We have to adapt, and we just need to allow ourselves and give ourselves permission that it's okay to let go of those people. And I think we hold on to them for whatever reason, but it's time to pack them away and get the new people in. Get the people God, if you're a faith person, the universe, whatever. Get the people in that are supposed to be in your life that have been blocked out because you've spent way too much time on people who shouldn't be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I see why so many people gravitate to you. Is how you make them feel. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that all that energy is absorbed away from you. And you have to be a very good person. Told me one time, the most important thing that you have to protect is your energy and your heart.
Agreed.
It's one thing that one is tinted. It's hard to gain back.
It's so hard. And if you're in a giving mode or you're one of those people that pour in, you literally get home at night and you're probably exhausted and you don't know why. But I can tell you it's because you've given up pieces of your energy and your heart to people that don't deserve it, and it's time to move on.
So you do your show. You interview many, many people, different story, different walk of life, different industry. How do you do to unwind, to reset? Like you said, you get overwhelmed because all that energy is sucked out. How Ted, the person, does to reset yourself for the next day, do it all over again?
I've struggled with this. I think there are a lot of things that I've wanted to do, meditation, prayer. I don't really do exercise, so maybe yoga in my brain, virtual yoga. But I really couldn't figure out what to do. So I've been working on that for 2023 as well. In the
Mm-hmm.
mornings, I wake up differently. I have a little bit of a different routine. In the evenings, I've also changed my routine a little bit. I shut my phone off. Y'all, I'm not good at it. So I'm just going to tell you, it doesn't mean don't pick it up 40 times. But I do shut it off, and then I just sit and think about the day, focus on the positive, pray, meditate. I try not to have a structure because my brain is ADHD all over the place. And so I have to be cognizant of that. But it's a learning process. You
Mm-hmm.
learn the more you do it, the further you can go with the meditation, the longer that you can be in prayer or your discussion or whatever that you're having with God or the universe. And so I do it that way. I
Hmm.
just, I love being home with my wife and my family when they're around. And so I just decompress that way.
Decompress. Absolutely.
Decompress.
I think it's the only way for all of us to survive.
Agreed.
Now, everybody knows you. You might not consider yourself that, but I think you're genius in the way that you market yourself and branding. I can
Thank you.
easily say you're like a marketing king here
Thank
in
you.
Orlando. It's just you without knowing you do it, but now I understand the story. You see, guys,
See?
now we understand the story. So when you see this guy in his show, you will understand how he interviews people, how he gets to them. And that is because if we don't know our past, we don't know where we're heading.
Amen.
Um, Marketing king, how is important is branding and networking in today's day?
I think it's more important than ever. But I think that intentional, purposeful, planned out networking and branding.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like our industry as a whole, will take that, real estate in general. There are so many people just throwing a whole bunch of crap against the wall and they are not thinking about it. And then they're wondering why they have no results.
Yes.
I also think people are so focused on things like likes and views over impact. And I feel like you just need to take a look at what you're doing in your branding. First of all, if you don't know it, you are your brand. So I'm with Future Home Loans now. I would guarantee you the majority of the people on the planet don't know that because they buy into Ted Bogert. They want to do business with me, just like they want to
Yes.
do business with you. And I feel like if you don't take that and understand that you are the brand and then expand on that, I would encourage people not to identify necessarily with, like, you have your company, you own it, but people who work for another company, make yourself the brand.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't being disrespectful to the company, but people love you, they want to do business with you, and who you are with does not make a bit of difference if you are doing the right things for people. So I feel like being intentional, making sure that you understand that you're the brand. When you network, um, intentional networking is super important too. I still go to a lot of events. Don't get me wrong, I do. I mean, a ton, but I'm pickier now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if I've been to an event and it's the same event with the same people over and over again, and I feel like all it is either a meat market, sorry guys, or some kind of somebody's throwing their business cards at me. It's just not where I want to spend my energy or
Of
time.
course.
So I look at things and I get involved with things from a networking perspective, um, and I really go through it. I kind of filter it out and go, okay, what is this going to do for me? Is it an IPA, an income
Mm-hmm.
producing activity?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to get anything out of this from a personal perspective? Is there a charity I can help? Do I want to help that charity? And I really do evaluate now because I get asked. I could be at 5 events a night if I really wanted to, and then the weekends, and that doesn't do anybody good.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to look at yourself as a brand, and then if you're going to network, really take a look at the networking event that you're doing and what you're going to see what it's really going to benefit you. How is it going to benefit you?
Absolutely. All that and more. How has networking and branding evolved into the TED show?
So the TED Show again was just a vehicle for people to not think I was a Rockefeller and drank all day. Um, I never understood the power of it, and that's one of those things. Again, as a man of faith, God obviously gave that to me for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So in the early days, it was really just to showcase all the cool friends I had. I didn't know how to interview anybody. I had never been on Facebook Live. And so I just realized early on that I could, because of the place that I came from,
Mm-hmm.
I could ask people things and they would share with me what they might not share with other people.
Absolutely.
And so it evolved, and then the TED Show itself became a brand, and people know me by it. They know my TikTok. They know, like, so this all this stuff that you don't realize that people are really watching. That's also what I want to encourage you. Enough with the views, people. People do watch.
Mm-hmm.
They do look at your stuff. They do know when you're on. I know you have a show, even though I've never been on it. I know these things.
Yeah.
And I think that people have to understand that when you are doing your branding and your networking, for me, the TED Show just became its own entity. And it allowed me to reach more people. I've been able to interview presidential candidates and CEOs and all the mayors in town and just some amazing human beings, cancer survivors, and just all of these people who have such a beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
That has become part of my brand. Never planned it to be part of my brand.
Yes.
So a lot of times when people introduce me, they don't introduce me as a mortgage guy. They go, "This is Ted with the TED Show." And it's such a funny thing to hear, but that's how a lot of people identify with me now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a progression. So that's my brand.
So the show has been around 4
it'll
years.
It'll be 6 years in August.
Wow. And it's so incredible the power of this platform, like you could not reach the amount of people that you do now by meeting in the Citrus Club hour per hour per hour.
Correct.
You just plug yourself and you amplify the whole entire vision, impacting even more people. And within that, then you do your mortgage. So
Correct.
you're selling something with people that actually would love to do business with you.
Correct.
Isn't that an amazing synergy?
It's so synergy oriented. It's
Mhm.
what is the word? Synergetic? I don't know. That's probably not
You're
a
asking
word.
the wrong person, but your producer anyhow.
It's
Synergetic.
definitely
That's a
synergetic. We're
word.
going to go with that. I'm going to make that one up. But you're right. I feel like, again, in the beginning, I don't know if I mentioned it, but in the beginning, it was also to let
Mhm.
people know that I do work and what I do. And so originally we were going to have a segment each time, me talking about mortgages. And during the first show, I realized I did not want to do that. I don't want the focus to be what I do. What I do is people will get to know as they get to know me.
Mhm.
What I have learned, though, is I have to be a little better about letting people know what I do.
Yes.
Because people still, even though I post it everywhere, I tag my business page, I talk about the Bogert experience, I do all this stuff, people still know me as the TED Show.
Yes.
So one of the things I'm doing in 2023 is trying to at least create a little bit of visibility of,
Mhm.
hey, this is the ask part. Hey,
Mhm.
by the way, and I'm also a mortgage guy, and you're also a realtor, and I didn't do that in the past.
Yeah.
And so it was just been really put on my heart to be very proactive in what I'm doing this year.
But I am a strong believer that what you put in, you get in.
Absolutely.
So you're not selling yourself. You're not selling that, because to you it's so more important to impacting other and listening to the story. That then is what God create. What you put in, it comes in.
Agreed.
What goes around goes around. So what do you enjoy the most out of that show, or out of the show overall? I know I can't imagine, but
So my favorite thing is seeing a breakthrough with people. Yesterday, for example, when this very macho dude came on, a veteran, and when I asked him his hero and he said his mom, he started to
Aw.
cry. I love that human side, because what I'm able to do in these interviews is I really want them to trust me, and I want them to say something out loud that maybe they have never expressed out loud before. And for most people, when you say something like that out loud that you've always held on to but never said it, it's a powerful movement in your spirit and your soul. And I could tell the minute I asked the question, he got uncomfortable, but I knew he was going to answer it. And I love that, because for him, that might have been the first time he's ever said that out loud about his mom to a group of people.
Yes.
And that is so powerful. And my thing about that is it's cathartic for the person,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also such a beautiful gift to the hero, to the person that you're saying it about, because maybe they've never heard it out loud before. So I love that part of it. I love the human part. I love the growth and the breakthrough part. Do we have it on every show? No. And I don't go in trying to get everybody to cry. But I do love to see people get emotional and passionate because I believe that it motivates and inspires other people too.
Our producer signal me in. Leticia, do you have a question?
Yes. What has been the hardest challenge you had while doing all this marketing work on your brand and the TED show?
Wow. I think it's been a challenge trying to find a focus. Because the TED show goes in every direction. There was no, like, it could be a realtor one day, a presidential candidate another day, Mayor Demings one day, a kid who runs races for fallen heroes another day, a cancer survivor who's come on the show and she's bald from chemo.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to rope that in. And so at the end of 2022, I really took a step back. We've done less shows so far this year, although that's not the plan for the whole year. Really to just go, all right, how can we focus? The TED show doesn't have an identity other than TED.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be known as a vehicle for people to share their story, to be inspired. And I haven't done a great job of allowing that to happen, mainly because I was just so excited to get the guests on and have them share their journeys. So the hardest part has been trying to find the focus and kind of carve it out instead of being this broad net.
Mm-hmm.
I've been purposeful in the guests that I'm inviting. I'm going for guests who have a larger following, not because I want the following for me, but because I want them to impact the people who do watch my show more and get into the lives and the hearts and the soul of people. So, long story short, sorry,
It's okay.
is to maybe cast the net a little tighter. And I have struggled with that, but this year I'm determined for that.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
My Pop Media Lab can help you on that.
I know. I'll
lend you for
Pop
you.
Media
They're really
Lab.
good at that. Wow, Ted, really to see even the human side and always being very knowledgeable individual and always like I said, make us feel comfortable. But even seeing more the human side of it, it's even more beautiful to see that you're human, that we're still growing.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that you're old, but you give me hope.
Listen, yeah, probably
you give me
I'm
hope.
their grandparents, your
Nah.
parents' age.
Nah. I promise you this last question, and I'll show you. This last question have nothing, like this is the last question I ask everybody, and it has nothing to do with the first question.
Okay.
And you can see it right here. And it says, what will you tell that little boy?
So it's interesting because that's taken years of therapy, prayer, cocktails. I mean, you name it, just growing. And you have to, the little boy, my goal with the little boy, with Teddy is what my therapist called. Well, that's what I was called as a kid.
Teddy.
I think that my whole goal is to protect. And so I protect that child and I pour into that child to let them know the things that I didn't feel as that child. So loved, protected, valued, respected, cared for, all of the things that you would think you would know a child should have.
Mm-hmm.
I am not saying that I didn't get that from people in my life because, like I said, God put amazing people in my life during that time. But that child still needed it from his parents.
Yeah.
And I think that even though I have no relationship with them and didn't as an adult, which is a whole nother story, I feel like that child still needs to know value, protection especially, value, safety, the things that you would normally think a child, of course, would experience with their parents. And if you're a child of abuse or neglect, you know that that's not true. You never know if you're safe. You really don't feel safe ever. you don't feel loved, you don't feel valued. And so I encourage him all the time. I do a show called Raw. We have not released it yet. It's with a positivity coach, Kendra Davies, and we go deep. And what we're doing is showing the world what she does with a coaching client, and I'm that client.
Wow.
And so we've been talking about Teddy a lot lately. But I think it's important to continue to go deep. Just because I seem like I'm evolved, don't think I don't have moments. I have PTSD from my childhood, and there are moments where I will have an episode of it. So it's just a continual growth. You just have to be on the right path and continue to either pray, meditate, but do the right things always.
It's a day at a time.
Day at a time, one day at
until
a time.
the day that God called us.
That's correct.
I want to thank you for opening yourself up like that. I had no idea. Even though we see ourselves periodically because we're working, you're in your social life, networking everybody because I actually have to work. But every single time I was with you, you make me feel loved and make me feel like acknowledged. Did not judge me with my accent. On the contrary, he would say like, "Oh, Gea, your accent is so sexy." I was like, "Hi, thank you." Because it was always an insecurity in me, and look at it. Look at this after an insecurity, what can convert into.
That's correct.
And keep going, because I understand that there's a purpose in you. There's so much more of you to give. And what I love the most is now you're going to make yourself even more expansive, because now he's going to make his circle even smaller.
That's correct. Correct. Well, I love and appreciate you very much. I do. I love what you do. I love that you're out there. I love all of the things that you and Jeremy have built and put out in the world. And I know that you get negativity. I get it too. But you handle it with a wonderful amount of grace. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
I try. Thanks to God.
Amen.
He's the only one that support me and give me the strength every day. Like this morning, I told him, listen, yesterday was a long day. Yeah. Tomorrow, I need to wake up like if I slept 10 hours. And when I wake up, I was like, wow, you really?
See,
you're listening.
That's
you're
right.
listening. Thank you, Daddy. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it's been a joy, and I hope it's not the first. We're going to talk about how 2023 was and how it's been this journey, and some news is coming up because I want him in some shows that we're doing.
Woo!
That
Can't
these
wait.
guys want him to be our MC, and stay tuned because there's so much collaboration.
Excited.
And thank
I
you
love
so
you.
much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, my amazing people. But do not forget, because if not, they're going to kill me, to please rate, like, subscribe, download in every platform that you want to listen, and you listen to your podcast, and also YouTube, please. And love, hate, we'll take it all. Love you. Have an amazing, amazing day.